Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you are all well. It's good to see some people in chat. Good to see some people in chat. I'm going to make this relatively short, mainly because I think if I keep talking, I'll lose my voice because my voice is shot to bits. Shot to bits. How is everyone anyway? Lawyer, you know, because he has come out and he's done a video touching on the Sahara situation. Ken Dalton's in the house as well. Hello, Ken. Hello, Ken, my friend. So yeah, I don't know if anybody has watched. I'm sure some of you have watched his video. I don't know whether all of you have seen it. If you haven't seen it, I would definitely say after this, head over to Lawyer You Know, the best hair on YouTube, the best hair on YouTube. And he was talking about it. He was talking about, obviously, he went through the Sahara document. And, and it's really just to say, you know, you've got another lawyer who's come on and he's talking about, is this information true? Do you know what I mean? Obviously, all we can go by and all he's going by is the credentials of Sahara. Now, don't get me wrong, you look through the chat, the actual messages that Lawyer You Know are getting, and there's a load of people who have got loads of stuff to say, loads of stuff to say about Sahara. They keep quoting this court case where there was issues with it, and Sahara went over that case. I think him and Kerry went over it on their channel. Was talking about not necessarily that part of it specifically, but the entire situation, what was going wrong. But the main thing, what was going on with this court case that Sahara had issues with the judge, was that the judge kept misquoting him constantly. Like Sahara had made a comparison about his ability in this field and referenced it against somebody who would be like an engineer and how they are good in their field. Do you know what I mean? And he basically got misquoted by saying they were trying to say that he'd claimed, I'm going to pin that he'd claimed that he was an engineer or something. And that's like, what am I doing? Pin message. Yeah, so that's pinned. So yeah, so it weren't necessarily an issue. He was getting misquoted. That was the issue of it. But so basically, hello, Chick Bait. Hello, everybody coming in. SJ lost my voice, much to my husband's delight. And yeah, hello, all of you guys who are coming in. Like I say, I'm not going to keep you long. But so he goes through this document, right? And he's basically saying, you look at Sahara's credentials, and that's one fucking hell of a bunch of credentials. Do you know what I mean? It's not no Mickey Mouse person. He's come along. He's got a hell of a set of credentials. He knows what he's talking about. He's been in law enforcement for decades, and he's come forward to for the first time to speak on behalf of a defendant, someone who's being accused, and he's basically come forward and dropped some massive accusations, However we feel about it, it doesn't really know. It doesn't really know. It doesn't really matter what we think. Do you know what I mean? Like, some of us are going to be on his side. The people who are a bit more open-minded are going to be on his side. The guilters are absolutely going to be fucking dead against him. They're going to be disrespectful. They're going to be rude. They're going to be obnoxious, because that's what we see. And you're not ever going to get around that. It's always going to be the same. It's just part and parcel of it all. But it's in the court now. He's gone into the courtroom, and what people are failing to understand, or some people are failing to understand, that it's been said. And it's now Judge Hitler, Freudian slip. It's now got to be dealt with, and how do you deal with it, and where does it lead to? Now this has got two outcomes here, and that is, or three, should I say, and that is, Sahara is massively mistaken. He's come into it, and look, I'm trying to be as fair as I possibly can. As fair as I possibly can. So you've literally got, he made a mistake. He made an error. He's misconstrued something, and all of his knowledge, all of his, his background, what he knows about this, what he thinks he knows, what he thinks he's seen, and all of that 30 years or 25 years, whatever it is, something's gone amiss and he's wrong. But that has to be proven. That has to be proven that he's wrong, and he would have to be the one who turn around and say, I was wrong. I was wrong. I got it wrong. So that is transparent. And would there be any comeback from that because he's done it the way he's done it? Who knows? So that's one, right? Number two is he came into her and he flat out lied. Now I don't see how that could even possibly be a thing. I genuinely don't understand how a guy with the credentials that he's got, with the the background that he has, and what is the benefit to him? What would be the benefit to him at all? He doesn't need the notoriety. He's obviously done well off the selling of ZX. He's doing all right. He's doing well. So I don't see what his end game would have been to lie, because ultimately you're going to get found out, aren't you? You're going to get found out. So to say that Cyray's gone into this courtroom and or he's done this Alpha David, and to purely lie is a ludicrous thought to me. Is ludicrous. Willie CJ Miller. I doubt Hitler will dismiss, which we'll come to in a second, right? And I think this is my point in its entirety. So the third option, because that is the only three options here. He was mistaken, he lied, or he's accurate in what he says. Now, what happens in the event that he's accurate in what he says? What does the judge do now? What can be the only thing that happens here? How does it go from here? Thank you so much, AKW, for the super chat. Much appreciated, my friend. And like Willie says here, I doubt Hitler will dismiss. However, he can't just ignore the prosecution misconduct and hide exculpatory evidence. He may take Ashley and Bill off the case and add in new prosecutors, in my opinion, which is one option, but he's got to do something. He's got to do something. It cannot be ignored. The world is watching, and they are going to be well aware that the world is watching. So he has got to prove that he has control of his courtroom. And it's like the lawyer raised in his read through this document. And he turned around and say, Sy is almost given the judge a nudge and saying, look, this person who did this Jennings, to do what she did, she's basically mugging you off. She's basically has no fear, or she's trying to say that you don't know what you're doing. There is a caveat to that, and that is that she doesn't, it's not so much that she doesn't think he knows what she's doing, or he doesn't know how to read the evidence. Could there be something more sinister? And that is that she knows that he's not going to say anything because he ultimately is on their side. So she'll get away with saying whatever she wants, and the judge is going to side with them. That's all good in the dark, but when the light gets shone on it and everything's brought into the light, he ain't going to get away with it. He's not going to get away with it at all. So make no bones about it. Something has got to happen here, and that is that Cyray has got to be proven to have made a mistake, and he would have had to have, or he will have to come forward and say that he made a mistake and take it on the chin. It will be proven that he lied, and there could potentially be repercussions to that, and I can't fathom why he would do that, and I'm certainly not suggesting that he has, but there you go. There, it is what it is. And number three, he's right. He's absolutely right. And if he is right, that means that the prosecution are deliberately misleading the court with information that could be exculpatory to the client. And that should worry everybody. And it's like, again, Mr. Beautiful Hair said, he said, whatever side of the fence you're on, whether you're a pro-burger, whether you're a down the middler, whether you are a guilter, do you know what I mean? You've got to take that out of it for a second and just think, what do I want the system to look like? What do I want the legal system to look like going forward? Do I want the system to be fucking busted? Do I want it to be able to be bought and paid? Do I want law enforcement and all those around it to be able to do what they like, how they like, and put the system at risk and being able to be manipulated and potentially see innocent people get put away? Or do I want a system that works right? And I can trust that if, heaven forbid, me, my loved one, someone I know, is ever on the wrong side of it, that I can trust that it's going to be put right? Or are people going to fucking feel bad when they got to rely upon people like me, rely on people like Jay Ombre, even rely on people like Jules of All Trades, rely on people like Truth and Transparency, who will dig into stuff and call stuff out, drip drop over at Crime Circus, even though I don't agree with everything Crime Circus says, but he's still someone who's going to fucking dig and dig and dig. Do you know what I mean? So there is that. You want a system that works. You want a system that's right. You want a system that's proper. And at the moment, we're in a position, a very weird position, where we've got one hell of a crime, a horrendous crime, and we don't know what's going on with it. That's the reality of it, because if you look at it from the outside of things, it would appear that that the system's fucked. And look, I know a lot of people are going to say, you know, it's the system is fucked. You know, I get a lot of people say that now. The system's busted. The system can be bought and sold. But the issue is here, I think, that it's on the stage, isn't it, for everyone to see. It's not happening behind closed doors. We know shit happens behind closed doors. But if it gets to the point where they will openly do it on the stage when all the eyes are watching and feel that they can do it without repercussion, that is when you get into really scary territory, because that is a complete and utter disregard for the general public. That's complete and utter disregard, and they're literally thinking, it don't matter whether they see, fuck it. Let them see what we're capable of doing, and that's a very, very scary position to be in. But that's all I want to talk on that subject, which is, yeah, do you know what I mean? We're now in this really strange position where we could ultimately see a dismissal of this case. Now, is it likely to happen? I'd say that it is a very small percentage likely to happen, but ultimately it could happen. It's definitely not a 0% chance of this case being dismissed. And that's the reality of it. That, you know, the lawyer, you know, Sexy Hair, he said himself, it is stuff like this where prosecutions are potentially hiding stuff, manipulating stuff, misleading the courts, that will ultimately lead to a case dismissal. The only thing that makes you feel that that's not likely to happen is we have seen things very similar to this being done, and we have seen them go all the whole 9 yards and end with a conviction. Richard Allen, for instance, whether you think he's innocent or guilty is by and by, is whether you think the system that he went through operated effectively, appropriately, and the outcome of that was garnered through a proper system. And I don't think it did. I don't think the system he went through was a right and proper system. And you could say Karen Reid as well, exactly the same situation. Is Karen Reid guilty, innocent? But is the system right? Is the system they're going through right? But you can let me know down below afterwards what you think to that.